already mentioned opposite def. There's also a definition to operand. So for example, if you have an OR instruction, you discover that the OR is false, it means that the two Booleans you were ORing together must be false, etc. Context. I just said that, okay. So given what has been implemented so far, why is it not optimizing well enough, and what's left to be done? The big one is number one right here. Dominator tree is good and all. I mean, it shows all the branches going out. It shows that scope. But if you imagine a simple if statement, you've got an if block up here, the then side on one side, else on the other, and then you have the code that comes after the if statement, and that's in a join node afterwards. And if you have, say, a variable that you use, you get a find node that takes from one of the two blocks. Well, we don't actually look at find nodes yet. And this is a major, major missed optimization opportunity for Predicate Simplifier. Now, there's two cases that I really want to look at. First of which is when the operands of the find instruction dominate the find instruction itself. So that would be the example like the if statement that I gave. It's defined earlier, it comes down to it. Or finds that dominate their operands. So it has to be a loop. I mean, one of the more complicated things with finds is that if you look at two find nodes in a single basic block, they're connected. If you can conclude that A is equal to 1,000, you know that this here is impossible. Clearly it's not the 0. Therefore, clearly it's not from basic block 1. You can not just cross that out, but you can cross it out vertically. And therefore you can conclude things like the other find nodes that are in the same basic block. And that's something that I would like to implement in Predicate Simplifier. My second point was improvements to the work list. And I know I've glossed this over, but there are, after we implement find nodes, there's a major problem with the work list, and that is that concept of scope that I mentioned. If we find that a certain condition is true under this scope, that may imply something about a path that was taken much farther up back in the control flow graph. And so we can no longer just look at our current context as being just that one scope. We're going to have multiple different definitions. Work on that. Floating point number support. I've been talking about integers and Booleans a lot. Equals. See, if you know that A and B are equal in an integer sense, you can take out B and replace it with A. If you know that A and B are equal in a floating point sense, you can't take out B and replace it with A because, well, one of them could be -0 and the other could be 0. And those, what if they go into a cast instruction that takes the actual bit pattern of them and they turn out to be different values? So you can't actually do that, and that means that equals is an inequality. And this becomes, it means that you have to redefine that lattice structure. Remember the lattice? Thank you. And the last of my crazy ideas would be an interprocedural version of Predicate Simplifier. And the way we would do this is you would have to after you've done all of the per function runs of Predicate Simplifier, you would want to save that result and look through all of the call sites and Reed, am I done?
Yeah, I'm real soon now.
You should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my last slide. You can take, from the call site, you can take what you know about the inequalities at the time of the arguments that are going in to the call, and you can add those in to the inequality graph at the time that you save for that function. And that may allow you to optimize out all sorts of branches, potentially. Now, one of the things, it doesn't help you to optimize that if you aren't going to end up, say, inlining it afterwards, because you still need all those branches for all the other call sites. But if you can do that, say, if there's a small number of call sites, like 1 or 2, you might just be able to union them and combine it. Yeah, that was, I didn't actually write a summary slide.